Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the TLC Podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by my co host, Mike. Mike, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great as well, man. Fun week of wrestling. We talked about it in our little pre show that we didn't get to talk about Impact last week, and they had a major event.
Yeah,
Um,
they did.
Against all odds,
Yes,
and it was another fantastic show.
that it was.
They did 2 in 2 weeks, or 2 in 3 weeks, I guess. Really,
Yeah,
um, and I thought, man, there's a chance for especially a company like that to feel overexposed in that time period.
but they didn't.
But yeah, they killed it.
That they did.
I said it in our when we were talking, and I stand even firmer on it now. This is the best Impact has been in a decade,
Yeah, they really have. They've really turned it around. They're doing amazing stuff there.
and the real winners in all that is wrestling fans.
Correct.
Like whenever you have more products delivering, that just it gives the fan base more alternatives.
Right.
Like if you're not getting what you want out of WWE, which a lot of people, especially right after WrestleMania, voiced a lot of frustration
Right.
with the 1,000 days of Cody Rhodes, and
Right.
WWE heard that, and I think that they took it to heart when they decided to do this world title.
I think so.
I think they realized, okay, we've got to separate them because obviously they wanted Roman to get his 1,000 days, and he's going to pass Pedro Morales, without much fanfare, and that's
No.
going to suck. Because I feel like one of the things I liked when they had the New Day pass Demolition for the longest tag title reign is they had them defend those titles every week in that like last month before they
Right.
passed them.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that was a smart way to do it. And they should be doing that with Roman. Just be like, look, man, we get it, you're a part timer,
But
but you want this mark, you got to work for a few weeks in a row, and then you can go take 3 months off if you want.
they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just letting him pass Pedro. Not much fanfare. The thing is, when's he going to drop it? Is the big question.
I think you called it right when you said WrestleMania in Philly.
I think so. So we got another.
We're going to have another road to WrestleMania. We're going to have, and now to me, it becomes a question of if Cody's the guy. And because do you want to go back to that? I know we've talked about how this is the chase.
Right.
Um, and to me, it would be perfectly fine to say, okay, well, you know what? We're going to have Roman versus The Rock in Philly. And Cody could still win the Royal Rumble, finish his story by challenging Seth Rollins or whoever the world champion is. Because I would assume Seth's not keeping it till Mania.
Right. The thing is that if they do that, I think it dilutes Roman's reign even further
Mm-hmm.
by having him drop to somebody like The Rock. If you're going to have someone hold this title hostage for as long as Roman has, you have to use it to build the next big superstar.
Yeah.
And
To me, that's got to be Cody.
I feel like if they have The Rock win the title from him,
Yeah.
it literally means nothing.
No, I agree with you. I'm just trying to come up with alternatives to the obvious, which again, anybody who's watched the show knows sometimes I say, sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer.
Right.
And maybe it is Cody. And again, I'd be ecstatic if Cody winning back-to-back Royal Rumbles and this time finishing the story. He made reference to it on Raw in his promo where he challenged Dominic. And
Right.
he's still, all these things he's doing with the Beast, with Cody, or with Dominic, and all
Right.
this is all taking him away from what he came back to do, which is finish the story.
Right.
And I like that he reintroduces that idea back into the front of everybody's brains.
Yeah. And the thing is, it has to be the WWE title. It
Yes.
can't be Cody against the World Heavyweight Champion, I think. Because the story is his dad didn't win the WWE title. He wants to win it for Dusty.
Yeah.
Dusty, let's face it, with their jaded histories and all, they try to trace the gold belt back to the NWA type lineage.
Yeah.
They try that, but it really isn't. But I give him an A for effort.
Yeah. To me, like, look, that world title that they had, the previous world title, that traces back to when Triple H got handed the belt.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that doesn't trace back to the 1905 and George Hackensmith.
No.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't trace back that far. That belt traces back to the NWA. Let's face fact. They are still around. As much as we don't pay attention to them, they did have the Crockett Cup again.
Which, by the way, we are right now streaming on the an NWA group page. So, everybody, thank you, NWA.
There you go. So, yeah, I know who won it. And Knox and Murdoch, good team.
Nice.
And, I mean, but they don't get the eyeballs on the product.
No, and it's a shame. Like, where could I even watch? Is that on Fight?
It's on Fight, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I have to order that one. That one's not a freebie, but
yeah.
Figures all the ones that I want to watch aren't the freebies.
Exactly. Yeah. I think after a while, Power does become a freebie. I think I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like, look, I signed up for Fight, like, so I could get the Fight Network and I could watch a lot of the wrestling products.
Right.
Like, because I want to watch NWA. I want to watch it all. Like, there's just not enough hours in a week or a day. And
too much. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, come this week, we now have wrestling on 6 nights a week.
Yeah. And a few of those nights, multiple promotions on the night. Like, so tonight, Thursday, or what's today? Today's only Wednesday. Damn it. Thursday night, we have Ring of Honor and Impact.
Impact, yeah. And, I mean, we're going to have – I don't understand the thinking of putting Collision on 8 o'clock on a Saturday.
I don't either. Because you're going to be once a month going head-to-head with WWE on their pay-per-views. And
on a premium live event, and you're going to lose a ton of viewers. I mean –
yeah, good luck with that. Like,
I know they think that – oh, Punk's going to bring viewers back. However, he's not going to bring enough viewers to warrant going up against Survivor Series. SummerSlam.
No. And, I mean, look, the first premium live events, Money in the Bank, will be on at 1 o'clock in Eastern time zone.
3.
So it'll be over well before Collision.
Yeah.
But to me, I still think, like, you can't be thinking that short term.
You can't be.
You got to be thinking long term, like, we can put this in this time slot for the next decade.
Right.
And I don't see where saying, oh, well, we're going to compete with at least once a month with WWE premium live shows.
Right.
And you know what they're going to do? They're going to try to make the Collision episodes that go head-to-head with a WWE show. They're going to try to make them incredible shows.
Yeah, they're going to try to stack the card.
Yeah.
But then again, it's kind of like, how are you going to compete against a Mania, a SummerSlam?
Right.
Because you know SummerSlam's going to be stacked this year.
Yeah, I mean, SummerSlam's always stacked, but this year, yeah, they're going to be really stacked.
Right. I mean, I think we're going to get Brock Cody 3 at SummerSlam.
Yes. And I hope it's an I Quit match or a 3 Stages of Hell.
Yeah. I think we're going to get a lot of I think we're going to get a huge Intercontinental title match at
I
SummerSlam
think so too. Yeah, Gunther should be defending that at SummerSlam.
because it's going to be one of those. Well, let me fix this curtain a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be one of those. He's getting real close to the ring
Mm-hmm.
of defeating the Honky Tonk Man. So I think they're going to make it because that would be in early September. I think in the time.
Okay.
So they're really going to try to hype that up.
Yeah, I would think that would make a ton of sense to push that.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like Riddle is the top challenger.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could always change that. And
Right. Yeah. I mean, Riddle, I like Riddle, but he doesn't do much, I think.
no, I feel like there's something missing with
Yeah.
Riddle. Like maybe like the mean streak. Like I really feel like it's hard to offend him.
Yeah.
And when you do something or say something that's supposed to cut deep and get to him,
He's just
like,
like,
I
bro.
feel like he just shrugs it off, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. Like that's part of his personality, but like that kind of makes it impossible for you to really connect with the audience and to make them care about the issue that's facing you
Yes.
when you don't seem to care about it.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if it's just bell to bell, like I would enjoy a Matt Riddle match,
Yeah.
against Gunther, and I'd enjoy that at SummerSlam. But I want to see somebody like you said when we get to September when it's Crown Jewel time, and which I'm assuming that's the September pay per view. I read it somewhere, and
It might be. While we're chit chatting, I will check here. Let's see here.
yeah, I really wish that WWE would release like their pay per view schedule. Like they should be planning a year out. Like
They really should be. Let's see here.
because I always like to go in, and especially when they were on Sundays, I'd like to go in and make sure I could get requests off from work,
Right.
and take off the next day so I could stay up and watch. Now that they're on Saturdays, it's not the biggest deal in the world for me because I'm off Sundays, but
it's still.
I would still like to know. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see here. I hate how you go on websites and all you do is get ads.
Ugh.
It's awful.
Yeah, website ads are the worst.
They are. Okay, so looks like they don't have anything announced on this one. Let me see here. There should be somewhere here.
Yeah, imagine we're close enough now to where like tickets would have to be on sale. Like
Yeah, they're getting there. All right, so we know Money in the Bank, Great American Bash is coming up. Yeah, they really. Here we go. List of upcoming by event calendar. They don't have anything announced.
that's amazing.
I've looked on 3 or 4 sites. All I see is Money in the Bank, Great American Bash, SummerSlam, WrestleMania 40.
Wow.
And that's even on Wikipedia as well. And it's also on CBS Sports and a couple others.
Well, I mean, obviously they'll have Survivor Series and Royal Rumble.
Right.
I can't believe they would go down to that few pay-per-views, or excuse me, premium live events.
You know what? I'm wondering if they're going to switch everything up again. Now that with the whole Endeavor thing, I wonder if they're going to go back to more of a pay-per-view format instead of a premium live event. Who knows?
I guess we'll find out. Yeah. Although I got to tell you, even though I don't want WWE to get any ideas, I kind of dig the way that Impact Wrestling has done it, where you have your Impact Plus events,
Right.
and then you have pay-per-view events that are separate.
Right. Yeah, because they do 4 pay-per-views a year. I think if WWE wanted to go back to the big 4 being a pay-per-view
Mm-hmm.
and then throwing in keeping premium live events on Peacock, that would work.
And and I guess you could just release them to Peacock after, say, 30 days or what have you. I know what you call Honor Club has after 90 days, which I think is excessive. But
You're right. Maybe meet in the middle at 60.
yeah,
That gives everyone a fair shake.
yeah, I think that would be fine.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't love it because I'd have to order it and pay for it again. I'm a cheap ass, but
Yeah.
but
That's why we try to get a couple people together for
yes, yeah, for viewing parties, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it easier that way.
Yeah, because that way, at least then, you can watch it, and okay, I can go back and rewatch it again in 60 days. Because think about it, it's been how many days since WrestleMania? I haven't gone back and rewatched it.
Yeah, I think I've rewatched a couple matches here and there.
Okay.
I know that there's at least 1 or 2 WrestleMania matches on the top 100 list.
Yeah, I have a couple on mine as well.
Yeah, I think I have 2 on my top 100 list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I have too.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only 2. Yeah, it's probably the same 2.
Yeah, most likely.
Most likely. So.
Well, speaking of which, you want to go ahead and get into our list, and then we can start talking about today's, the other topics of the day.
Sure. Since we're on the list.
Yeah, since we teased it.
All right, so we're doing 80 to 71 today.
Yeah.
Okay. 80, originally I had a real wild card match, but I had to tweak my list a little bit.
Okay.
So I had a wild card match. I'm just going to mention it briefly.
Mm-hmm.
It was at WrestleMania 35. I put the Hawkins and Ryder versus the Revival match on.
Oh, that was a great match. I loved that one.
Because I like all 4 of them. Everyone knows FTR is my favorite current day tag team. I've always liked Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, and Brian Myers. I've always liked both of their work. So I did put that match on, but I've had to take it off because I had to retweak a couple things.
Yeah.
So that was my wild card match. But at 80, I have Adam Cole, baby, versus Johnny Gargano from NXT TakeOver 25.
Nice. Good choice. I like that one a lot. I think I have a match of theirs on my list somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought I had the 3 Stages of Hell match. Was that the 25?
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought I had that somewhere on here, but now I'm looking. I don't know that I may have tweaked it and taken it off. I hope not, but I'll have to. I guess I'll be surprised with everybody.
Exactly.
At number 80, I have an iconic match, especially for the time. Trish Stratus versus Lita in the main event of Raw in 04.
Okay.
I thought it was a very good match. But I liked it more for the symbolism of it.
Exactly.
Which I guess is really everybody's thing with it.
I think that really is. Yeah. Now the Cole versus Gargano in 25, it was just the 1 fall match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the 1 fall match. 79, it's so hard to pinpoint an exact match.
Yeah.
To me. It was a series of matches from the WWE house show tours, 85, 86, went to 87. The Hart Foundation against the Killer Bees.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You feel like you have to have one of those matches.
I feel like I have to have one of those matches, those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Killer Bees to me might be one of the most underrated tag teams.
It's funny because that was um that 86, 87, that era was one where it's like I wasn't watching the product as closely.
Right.
Like I would just like I'd go over to my buddy's place for WrestleMania, and it's like, oh, if I'd find it on, I'd watch it.
Right.
When I got the Bret Hart DVD, and I was on the extras list, and I saw the Hart Foundation versus Killer Bees, I was like, I guess I'll check it out, give it a try. And I watched it, and I'm like, holy crap!
All their matches were fantastic.
Yeah,
It's so hard to pinpoint because they took it all across the house show
right.
tours, but I thought they had to be on there.
Yeah, I think just listing that as house show tour, Heart Foundation versus Killer Bees in that era, like you could just, yeah, like you said, you could choose any one of them.
Yeah.
My 79th match, well, it's a traditional match. Well, not really traditional, but it's going to be on a lot of people's lists. I imagine anybody who would compile this kind of list. It's Roddy Piper versus Greg Valentine, the dog collar match from Starrcade '83.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that was such an iconic match. And again, another one of those that the first time I watched it, I believe it was on DVD when they released the Essential Starrcade.
Right.
And it's one of those that made me, especially during that time, I feel like I was really more heavily on my phone a lot more, and it made me put the phone down to watch.
Yeah, that match is in my top 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
That belongs up there. Yeah.
That is such an iconic match. The first real major dog collar match, their feud, especially with some of my quirks. Like, I don't know if I told you this. Mm-hmm. I went back and watched every episode of Primetime Wrestling in 1987.
Nice.
On Peacock. And I literally wrote down every wrestler's record and kept track of who had the most wins of that year.
Okay.
It was amazing who had the most wins on TV that year. But like,
who was it?
Well, luckily you're sitting down. It was Paul Roma had the most wins on primetime television.
Paul freaking Roma.
Yes, they were starting to build him up as a single star in the beginning of the year. And then that's when they teamed him and Jim Powers up as the Young Stallions. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like every week in the beginning, they had him beating the Shadows. They had him beating all these other teams. It was just like every week they'd be on, it seemed like, trying to hype him up. But I did go back. I started watching Mid-Atlantic TV 1983 because they have the full year.
Mm-hmm.
And when you actually sit and watch the hour episodes and watch the build-up to the Piper Valentine, which really starts back in like March for Starrcade, where they had the angle with Valentine breaking Piper's leg and writing him out for a while. That whole build-up really makes that match iconic.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to 78.
78. I have Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart, Survivor Series 94.
I love that match. Absolutely love that match. Yeah.
One of my favorites with Owen begging Stu and Helen, pretending that he's caring about his brother, and then when the towel goes in, he does his heel turn, takes the towel, and is so happy.
I absolutely loved it because I call it right when that started happening, when Owen starts pleading with his parents. Like, I remember, one of the guys, I'm at his house watching the show, and he's like, oh, it's so sad. It's like Owen finally cares about his brother again. I'm like, dude, this is a major swerve.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, as soon as I saw him do that, like, I was about to say to you when you mentioned that match, my favorite character from that match isn't one of the two participants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Owen helps make that match what it is. One of his masterpieces.
Oh, man. And especially knowing how much of a ribber Owen was in real life. Like that, he had to have had so much fun with that.
Oh, he was probably just breaking Brett so bad after that. Like at the probably Christmas that year was just
Oh God, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at the Hart family Christmas
it
in
must have been
1994.
unbearable with those two.
Okay, my 78 match is the first Elimination Chamber
Oh,
from
very
Survivor
nice.
Series. Yeah, which was won by Shawn Michaels, and
Right.
that was his last world title reign.
Yeah, that was. He didn't even want it at that
Yeah,
rate. But I mean, and I believe wasn't it Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Booker T, Kane, RVD?
RVD. Yeah,
So it was all Hall of Famers in there.
yeah.
Yep.
Every one of them either are or will be Hall of Famers.
Yes.
All right, 77.
77 is my latest addition to the list. It is MJF versus Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara versus Jungle Boy in the Four Pillars four-way match at Double or Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm sure that matchup was great. I wish,
It is.
yeah, I would have loved to have gotten to watch it.
Sure.
Again, me and stupid fight TV are going to fight, but
Exactly. Can't help the system.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm just not spending that kind of money for an event I'm going to get for 72 hours.
No. That's why I buy it off of Comcast, because
Yeah,
at least this way, like I've seen that match a couple times now.
yeah.
Because, like I said, it was such a long event. I'm like this. My friend goes, MJF won. I rewatched it a
Mhm.
day or two after. And then when I was really trying to focus on that card, probably right after we did our podcast, I went back and watched the last three matches again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my 77th match is from WrestleMania this past year, 39. It is Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania.
All right. We were given this WrestleMania plug. Yes, that will be on my list at some point as well.
Yep.
That match.
All right, 76 for you.
76 for me is a bit of an oddball match when you actually. It happened at Extreme Rules 2016.
Okay.
It was one of the B pay-per-views, obviously. It's the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental title match between
okay.
The Miz, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I remember I was actually at that event in New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
And I thought for sure Cesaro was going to win the Intercontinental title that night.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think my phone was dying, but I was worried about preserving the battery so that I could put on the GPS for the ride home.
You're right.
And so I told my buddy who I'm there with, I said, hey, man, just get me a good shot or video when Cesaro wins. Because Cesaro was my boy. And then Cesaro didn't win.
And you're disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but the way.
I think we were 3 matches later before I was like, I can't believe he didn't win.
Yeah. And it was the 3 indie darlings against The Miz. And everyone's, The Miz, The Miz. Surprised they let him win.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. 76 for me is another event that I was at.
Okay.
Shawn Michaels versus Mankind at Mind Games 96.
Very nice. I was at that event, and that will be appearing on my list as well.
Which it's funny, having read Mick Foley's book, his first one, he talked about how his match versus Sting in their Falls Count Anywhere match was his favorite match up until that match with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, that one with Shawn Michaels is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely is.
Yep.
All right. 75. We're a quarter of the way through the list.
75. I had to put them on one match because of the impact they made as a unit, the Shield.
Yeah.
So I have the Shield versus Team Hell No and Randy Orton from SmackDown in 2013.
Okay.
I kind of had to pull that one through because I'm trying to like think of good Shield matches, and I could have won with one of the Mania ones, but then I thought this one probably was their best.
Yeah, that one was really good. I'll tell you another one that I was a fan of their last night in their first run against Evolution in
Yes,
that triple threat elimination match. That was a good one too.
that was a good one. Yes.
But yeah, good pull there.
Yes.
So where are we at?
75 for you.
Okay, 75 for me is, well, it's more of a night as opposed to one particular match. It's Bret Hart's 3 matches at the 93 King of the Ring.
Oh, very good pull.
Yeah, to me, that was the night that was one of those big influential nights that made me a diehard wrestling fan for the rest of my life, was watching Bret Hart in that 3 matches.
Yes, they were fantastic, the 3 of them.
All 3 so unique. You know, the Razor Ramon match, which was cut I felt like it could have broken down into a brawl at any point, but Razor stomps on Bret's hands, and he has the foresight to tape the fingers together.
Right.
So, I don't know if it was a legitimate injury or not, but man, it made me question it.
It did, yeah. Yeah.
Just a fantastic night.
And then the perfect match, and then the Bam
Yes.
match, yes.
And then, of course, the King attacking him afterwards, just topping off the night.
Right. And setting up that feud.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, 74.
74. I'm going back to October 2004. Samoa Joe against CM Punk in Ring of Honor.
Oh, they had some great matches too.
Yeah, it really could just be the series of matches from those 2 guys in Ring of Honor. And I'm really hoping that, and I kind of put this one in this group of 10, because I'm hoping that they spark a new rivalry again with
that would be fantastic.
With the advent of Collision. I'm hoping that's who first major feud is.
Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome.
We're getting teased it for the 6-man, so let's see.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, my 74th match is a match a lot of people think may be the best match ever on Monday Night Raw. And it's Shawn Michaels and John Cena from London in 2007.
Okay. Wow, that was a good match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
They went over an hour. It was just back and forth. And
yes. Back and forth, and just a tremendous match.
And I remember they'd even billed that they were going to have Randy Orton versus Edge in the main event that night. Right. But they just let John Cena and Shawn Michaels go. They were getting such a great reaction from the crowd. They just said, well, screw it. We'll just do that match next week.
Right, yeah. And that's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, 73.
73. The main event from WrestleMania Night 1 this year. KO and Sami Zayn against the Usos.
Yeah, that no argument from me whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that was a great telling of a story.
Yes.
That continues.
My 73rd match is Bret Hart versus Diesel from Survivor Series 95. I thought about just putting the whole trilogy of the Royal Rumble matchup and the King of the Ring from 94.
Right.
But I just decided I really enjoyed the Survivor Series match. I love the story that they told early in the match, Diesel dominating.
Yes.
And Bret Hart building that great comeback in the match. And I feel like that was a lot of what Bret Hart did in that era, and especially in that title reign.
Yes, especially against the bigger heels.
He did that against Diesel, did that against Bulldog, did it against The Undertaker.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job in that reign.
All right, 72.
72. Oh, we're going to round out tonight with a couple AEW matches.
Nice.
Adam Page against Kenny Omega, Full Gear 2021.
Very nice match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan of that one.
Yes.
My 72nd match is, well, I don't know if you consider it AEW or Ring of Honor, but the Young Bucks FTR trilogy from 2021.
You can go either one. They
Yeah.
were fantastic. All
Yeah.
three. Yeah. Can't go wrong with that.
And 71.
71. The American Dragon against MJF in our Iron Man match at this year's Revolution.
I'll tell you, that's one of those, like, I didn't order the event, but man, I kind of want to go on Shop AEW and order the DVD.
Yeah. And I have a sneaky suspicion one day soon we're going to get AEW on Max.
I hope so.
I
I
think we are.
really hope so.
With how Time Warner now has their exclusive rights, I think they're going to push for that soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my 71st match, rounding out our list for tonight, is Josh Alexander versus Moose from Bound for Glory.
I knew Josh Alexander was going to make an appearance on this.
Of course, yeah. You know I'm a big Josh Alexander fan.
I was just waiting for it and waiting for it.
Yep, this is the moment. That's my guy. I can't wait till he comes back to the ring.
Yes.
As much as I want to see him in WWE, and I think he belongs on the biggest stage, I love watching him in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah. I think Impact gives a lot more freedom, and I think he's got some unfinished business in Impact. So,
and I don't know like the extent of his injury when he could be back. I'm hoping the multitude of matches that's going to be in Philly in August.
That would be.
I would love to, I'm trying to think about seeing if anybody wants to go to that because
I'll probably be in for it.
All right, yeah, we can make a trip out to the 2300 arena for that one.
Yeah, I think I can round up some characters because.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm in. Of course, the characters hopefully will come out for our next show for AXW.
Yes.
Is next Saturday.
Yes, June 24th.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're sponsoring the champ.
That we are.
I love it. I loved his work, like his match against Danny Burch at the last show that we went to.
Yes.
Was fantastic.
It was.
Like he is such a good heel. I loved it. Him and the girl he's got in his corner.
Yes.
She's fantastic getting that cheap heat.
I love cheap heat. It's fantastic.
You gotta love it. Like I almost want to see him come out in like a Dallas Cowboys or Baltimore Ravens shirt, to like really tick off the crowd.
That would be fantastic.
I
think
I kind of want to, like, since we're sponsoring, I feel like I should get to coach him up some on this.
There you go.
And say it like, dude, man, like, go get you a Dak Prescott jersey.
Oh God,
wear that to the show. Of course, I would then tease him that he has more championships than Dakota will ever see.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, I would absolutely love to see him just embrace that cheap heat.
Cheap heat's fantastic. No matter which way you could get it.
It was always funny. When I was younger, I remember like some of my friends, we'd talk about like what we would do, like if we were in pro wrestling, if we were in some of these storylines, and I'd talk about what I would do, and they'd be like, finally, the one dude looks at me, he's like, Eric, you'd be a heel.
Absolutely.
I said, effing A right, buddy. Yes, I would.
Absolutely.
And I would embrace that cheap heat.
And think about it. When you become a heel and then you turn babyface, you get even bigger pop.
Oh, God, you get So you get the biggest pop than when you finally turn babyface. And while you're a heel, you can do whatever the heck you want. It's fantastic.
It is. It really is.
Having a bad day, traffic sucked, driving into the arena, Take it out on the crowd.
Exactly. Get the heat.
Yeah. Embrace it, man. If you're not inciting a riot, if you're not at least like stabbed one time, you're not really like. Which did you watch the Roddy Piper show from A&E this past week?
I have not seen the Most Wanted Treasures yet, but
Okay.
I've heard the stories.
Yeah, well, they're looking for the jacket, and the reason he wore the leather jacket is because it was thick and he wouldn't get stabbed, and they couldn't stab through it.
Yeah, no, I've heard that story before.
That's awesome.
That's back when people had the emotions. I mean, look at what happened to Blackjack Mulligan, for crying out loud.
Right.
I mean, the heels got so much heat in these different territories back in the day. They had to move.
Well, like the Sergeant Slaughter and the death threats that he got during his anti-American angle.
Right. I mean, and that was even after the territory days, but that was such a tremendous angle they pulled off. And the timing was just perfect with the Persian Gulf War. Of course, you never want to see a war, but the timing was perfect for it.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why some people would look at that and be like, boy, that doesn't play real well. But at the time, I remember thinking, I'm like, dude, that's freaking awesome. I remember telling some of my buddies, I'm like, dude, I said, like, because I had embraced the whole fact that, like, this is a work.
Right.
Like, they're working us. And, like, I thought it was fantastic.
Right.
And I said to somebody, like, he should set an American flag on fire.
And they did.
Well, they said Hulk rules one. He wouldn't do the flag.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's just like, that's part of the problem, I think, with our society nowadays.
Yeah. Nobody will laugh at themselves.
Nobody will laugh at themselves. And everything's too real now, where when we were younger, wrestling had that escape where you could have an outlandish angle like that. And you could say, this is entertainment.
Right.
I mean, now try to have any of the Attitude Era. Forget that. That would just be...
Cancel culture would be all over them.
Oh my God. It's awful. I mean, I just look at dating back to when I first started watching, I was 5. So I knew
that was the same age. Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's like Dusty's leg gets broken. I'm just like, wait a minute. And then he comes back. One gimmick that really, I don't know how they pulled it off, but I just absolutely loved, and I still love going back and watching it, is Akeem.
Yeah. The African Dream.
I love that gimmick, and you just see
so ridiculous.
It was so ridiculous. It was funny.
Yeah. Oh God, it was hilarious.
And I mean, just some of these absolute over the edge that we're missing now. I think if people
like the Slickster, like they couldn't even do the Slickster today.
Oh my God, he was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, he was supposed to be a pimp.
Yeah.
And
that's what he was supposed to be.
And he was just fantastic. But it's just like I just miss those angles of having these outlandish characters.
Like I still remember during the Attitude Era, my one buddy saying to me, he's like, dude, Eric, how did they not have Val Venus and the Godfather as a tag team and just call it Supply and Demand?
I know. They were talking about that. I remember reading about that on the rumor board, Supply and Demand. That would have been fantastic.
That, and I heard a funny idea they were going to do, they really talked about this idea of doing a tag team, Undertaker and IRS, Death and Taxes.
That would have been good.
I think that would have been fantastic.
I think that
loved it.
People would have loved that. I mean, or even the fake Undertaker, because he was in the DiBiase Corporation.
I remember saying that. Like, even if it's just gonna be for like 2 months or whatever before you get Undertaker versus Underfaker,
Right.
have the fake Undertaker tag with
Yeah.
IRS. They're both in the $1 million corporation, and just call the team Death and Taxes.
And that would have been great. I mean, there were so many opportunities, and there's so much that they did in the past that which we can't do now. But I think what
Yeah.
would be hilarious is if they tried to go back a little bit and
Mhm.
have, instead of a right to censor, have a cancel culture group.
Oh yeah, I think that'd be fantastic.
I
But the reason why that group works so well is because you're right there in the middle of the Attitude Era, where like every girl is this scantily dressed, sex symbol
right.
that everybody wants to see take off their top, and there they are about to do it, and who comes along to stop them but this right to censor group?
They were fantastic.
Oh, Stevie Richards just nailed every role he ever got in this business. He doesn't get the credit he deserves for being as awesome at his job as he was.
He was a diverse performer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to get him to get some of the ladies over, stick him with Victoria, and like, he'll get the ladies over.
Yeah.
You want to have him get a faction over, like a right to censor,
Right.
you can get them over.
Exactly.
You want him to be funny and entertaining, put him with the Blue Meanie, the BWO.
He got that over.
Yeah.
Well, he did so much.
Yeah, he really doesn't get the credit he deserves.
No, he was a knew how to get everything over.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
That guy could freaking get my bottle of water that I have sitting here. He could get that over.
Mm-hmm.
And not in the way that The Rock would, because The Rock's just so over, like that he gets anything over.
Right.
Stevie Richards at no point would I say was really over, but he got everything over.
Yeah.
Like, he was never a top guy, and like that just wasn't who he was gonna be.
We're talking other things. My wife goes, "You can't talk about The Rock. He's handsome. You don't know what we're talking about." She enjoys looking at The Rock.
Sure. And he's a fantastic performer.
Yes.
I was a big fan of The Rock. I was a fan of The Rock when he was Rocky Maivia.
Oh, the hair was tremendous then too.
That was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
When he comes out and JR put him over so big, he said, this guy's going to be the man.
Yeah.
He was right.
Good old Flex Cavana.
Yeah, he just, in that Survivor Series match when he's working against Triple H and when he ended up with Goldust and Crush, I think were the last two that he eliminated.
Yes, that was his debut, Survivor Series 96.
Mm-hmm. Another great show.
Yeah. But then it kind of got overshadowed by the next year's Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Which, believe it or not,
mm-hmm.
I did not put the Montreal Screwjob on my top 100.
Mine either.
I just couldn't do it.
To me, they ended the match early. Like, when I look at it now, so if we want to, we can diverge into that topic some.
Sure.
Because I listened to a couple of the podcasts on it through the Bruce Pritchard show.
Right.
And, like they talked about how basically they go to Raw in Madison Square Garden the night that Steve Austin stuns Vince McMahon. And earlier that day, Bret Hart shows up to work, shows up to TV. He was late.
Right.
And like he's supposed to have a meeting with Vince, and Vince has looked at his books and is just like, hey, that contract that I signed Bret to, I can't afford to honor it.
Right.
And, they go through the whole thing. He goes, look, he's like, yeah, I'll help you work out a deal, maybe even get you some more money from WCW. Call them and see if they'll still do the deal. And I remember thinking, I'm like, okay, like, so you knew then that he wasn't going to be there much longer.
Why
Why are
wouldn't
you not getting the belt off of him then?
right?
Like that night. Or put him in like make the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Make it a triple threat.
And have him just lose it that way.
And yeah, have him lose it there. And you could even have Shawn pin the Undertaker so it doesn't make Bret Hart look weak.
Right.
And Shawn still gets the belt.
Exactly. They could have done that.
Have the big cane come down. Like maybe Bret Hart takes a big, but maybe it's Bret Hart that's getting helped out of the Hell in a Cell instead of the referee.
Right. Yeah, they had so many opportunities. I remember the night Austin stunned McMahon was also the night Goldberg debuted.
Yeah.
And it happened to also be my 17th birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All funny how it all lines up.
Yeah, to me that just as soon as I heard that, that was the first thing that popped in my head. Like,
Right.
okay, so you knew, maybe you didn't know that you had a month left, maybe because
Right.
you didn't know how long it was going to take for him to work out the deal with WCW and to agree to terms there, and when his last day of work was going to be. But like, to me, it would have been like, okay, this is our next pay per view. We're going to put you into that Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and Shawn, and we'll have Shawn pin the Undertaker. You won't look weak. Shawn gets the belt. Kane will still debut. And the way we'll get him in there is, maybe he takes it, or well, that's how you could set up the big bump off the cell through the announce table with Shawn, is have Bret have to get taken out.
Right. They could have easily roped so much into that. It would have been fantastic.
Yeah, it really would have been, and it's such a shame that it went down the way it did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was such a shame.
And then even if you wanted to come back with Shawn and Bret the next month at Survivor Series, with Shawn as now the champion defending against Bret, if you wanted to do then the double disqualification, the big chicanery at the end, you could. Because you're not worried about getting the belt off of Bret at that point.
Exactly. But they gave
easy things for us to look at 30 years down the road.
Yeah, they gave Bret creative control for his last 30 days. That's why they should have had the belt off of him by then.
Yeah, that belt had to be off him before his last 30 days.
Yeah. But that's how we ended up at that point in life.
Yeah. But it's funny because I've never heard anybody take the opinion that I took when I heard that was, well, why the hell wouldn't they just get the belt off of him before Survivor Series then?
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Had how many TVs,
Yeah, they should have, and Bret even said he would drop it the night before Survivor Series because it was in Detroit at a house show.
Drop it at a house show in Detroit, and then you come on the air at Survivor Series. Bret Hart lost the WWE title last night.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been so much better than what they did.
Yep.
Because if the mission was really you didn't want Bret to leave the building that night still champion, I get it. Like, that's the way you do business.
Right.
But there were so many different ways they could have done it. That's where I do blame Vince McMahon for the Montreal screw job.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many people to blame in that whole thing.
Yeah. And the egos, if Shawn and Bret had just been able to be cordial with each other, they didn't have to be best friends. They didn't have to go out for drinks after the show every night.
Right.
They needed to be able to work together and be cordial.
Right. Instead of what was going on behind the stage. And I think Dark Side of the Ring recently talked a little bit about that with the Tammy and Chris episode too.
Yeah, when they dipped into the, Shawn Michaels comments about Bret Hart having sunny days.
Yeah, that was kind of a good way to play into that.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a dick move. Even if that's 100% true, even if Bret Hart and Tammy Cinch were smacking uglies,
You don't talk.
That's a bad move. That's a low blow by Shawn Michaels to bring that out in the public.
Yep, it is.
Because that's another man's marriage you're playing with. That's and
Mm-hmm.
there's bro code. Damn it, you don't sell out another dude like that.
Yeah, it was just a hairy situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was. I want to touch on, before we call it a night, I want to touch on the MJF Adam Cole promo from last week.
Oof.
Which, man, that promo gave my goosebumps.
Yes. I'm looking forward to this eliminator match tonight.
Yeah. Adam Cole, I think, is going to whoop that ass tonight.
I think so. I think we're going to start building up to our Adam Cole MJF.
Yeah.
And all in or all out.
Yeah, I to me, that's got to be all in. That's got to be Wembley Stadium. You want to put that in the biggest. You want your biggest match in your biggest marquee event, and to me, the biggest marquee event is Wembley Stadium.
I'm not sure about that. I think we're gonna have a little ego fever happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might get that at all out as the marquee.
Well, either way, those two are going to be on the marquee. And
right. I think
going to have to figure out a way to watch those shows.
I think we're going to end up with a 6-man tag team main event in Wembley.
I got to be honest, I would feel kind of deflated about that.
But I think the egos are going to get involved, and I think that's...
I think you're probably right. Especially if they're coming back with Labor Day weekend with All Out.
I'm really smelling it, but I hope not, because they already sold a bunch of tickets to Wembley. So they could say, hey, Wembley, you're getting the Bucks against CMFTR.
I'd enjoy Young Bucks FTR.
Right. But I think we might get Cole against MJF at All Out in Chicago.
So I don't know if they'd be willing to do business, but man, if you wanted to go with a 6-man for All Out or for All In Wembley Stadium, what do you think about CM Punk and FTR against the Elite, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega?
That's what I just said. It's going to be CMFTR as they're marketing them against the Elite. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to get in Wembley.
Oh, I mean, I'd be in for it. I'd like the match. To me, it's a great undercard attraction for, MJF versus Adam Cole.
Think about it. They can't do it at All Out.
No, that'd be a riot atmosphere.
They can't do it in Chicago, so they're going to have to do it at Wembley.
Yeah.
So we will get Cole against MJF. I think tonight Cole wins the Eliminator.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to happen at Forbidden Door.
No.
I think Forbidden Door, they're going to have to do something else.
I wonder if Forbidden Door will be available on that probably won't be available on Ring of Honor. No. Damn it.
No, that's going to be a paper.
Even if I waited the 90 days, I don't think it'll be available on that one.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it will be. Let me just see here. So I'm trying to think here.
They need to get AEW on streaming on Max.
Yeah, I think they really need to.
I feel like we need to get our dozens and dozens of followers to
petition.
We need a strongly worded email to the executives at AEW and at Max.
Right, because really, the 2-match card is going to sell the pay-per-view already.
Yeah.
Because you have Omega and Ospreay, which you know Ospreay's going to win, and they're going to have the rubber match in London.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have Danielson versus Okada.
Which I feel like last year at Forbidden Door, when basically AEW just went over, like they needed to establish AEW as this as a top notch brand. I think this year it's not as important because basically we've seen that AEW is at least as good as like a WWE.
Right.
Now I feel like it's more important to get some of these New Japan guys over.
I think so. I think, honestly, and I know neither one have a title right now, but I think the Danielson Okada match, that's a dream match that everyone's wanted.
I feel like that should close the show.
I think that should be a main event.
And I feel like Okada should win it.
I do too. I mean, the one thing that is a drag, even though we've seen the match, we haven't seen it in North America yet. It does appear on my list, and I wanted to see it in Forbidden Door, but they're injured, was FTR against Aussie Open.
Yeah.
That happened at Royal Quest last year in England, and that match is on the list. It's coming up in the next couple episodes for people who want to enjoy. But yeah, I think I would have loved to see one of their matches at Forbidden Door, but we're not going to get that.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to go ahead and, I guess, put a bow on tonight. I've been teasing it in my previews talking about the Bloodline Civil War, so I guess we'll just quickly touch on it. Man, it's certainly, Jimmy's now on the outs, and I would imagine this week we find out that Jay's going to join Jimmy and face Roman and Solo.
At Money in the Bank.
And I feel like the Usos have to win that, and I feel like Jimmy pins Roman to wrap that up.
I think so.
And that would really put over make it believable that we could have Jimmy versus Roman for the championship at SummerSlam.
Yeah. I think that would be fantastic.
And are you with me with the Jay turns on Jimmy at SummerSlam?
It might happen.
Setting up Uso versus Uso in September.
You know what else I would love to see? Throw an absolute curveball at everybody. WWE.
Yeah.
Have LA Knight win Money in the Bank and cash it in on Roman and beat him that night.
So you have a 3-year title reign ending on a Money in the Bank cash-in at SummerSlam.
No. At Money in the Bank.
Oh, at Money in the... Oh, snap. At Money in the Bank.
At Money in the Bank, London would go bonkers.
Oh, my God. I don't know if the world's ready for that.
I think they should make it happen.
I'm with you. Speaking of which, man, the Money in the Bank field feels weird, right?
Yes, it definitely does.
Like, who can really win this? LA Knight. Is Santos your next big favorite?
No. I think Nakamura. I think
I guess that makes sense.
I think they're gonna, now that Triple H is more in line and heading up creative, wouldn't be surprised if we get some big Nakamura pushes.
I would be a fan of it, and I'd be a fan of then, if we get a Nakamura Seth Rollins match, that'd be great.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would sign up for that. Yeah. Nakamura were to win Money in the Bank and then just say he wants to cash in against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the world title. Let's go.
Let's go.
So I'm going to think of doing your friend again.
All right. That's going to do it for tonight. Mike, anything to add before we get out of here?
I think I made everyone's mind numb with the LA Knight theory, so I'm good.
Yeah, you definitely made my mind numb. Wow, I didn't even know how to respond to that.
Right.
I love the idea though.
I think it'd be great, but we know it ain't going to happen. So at least
No,
I'll say it on
no,
the
it won't.
podcast, and people think I'm a genius. Our two dozen viewers will be like, "Hey, he's got a good idea."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if that happens, this episode has to blow the hell up all over the internet.
I think so. It's not going to happen, but if it does, we got to make it.
We scooped it. We gave it to. We gave you the spoiler.
Yes.
Am I snowman down yours?
All right, everybody. Have a great night and happy wrestling.